Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tracy. For this thrift flip episode, I'm going to be showing you guys how I transform a 1950s slip into this Reformation inspired top. As you can see, this was the Reformation top I wanted to recreate, but with a little bit more spice. I fell in love with this vintage slip because of the embroidery, the lace. I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. I'm taking the vintage slip and just turning it inside out, and I'm just going to cut out the side seams so I have two separate pieces and I can just work with the lace part. I'm using the embroidery portion as the top of my top, so I'm just going to fold this panel in half and just pin everything in place. Measure from your side seam over your bust to your other side, and I got 18 inches total. So you want to divide that number in half and add a ½ inch for seam allowance. So I'm just marking 9.5 inches from the fold. And you just want to connect those marks, and next you want to decide how long you want the bust portion of the top to be. So I just wanted mine to just cover the bust and just slightly under, so I ended up making it about 5.5 inches long. After that, just square it off and you have a rectangle that is 9.5 by 5 inches. I grabbed my rotary cutter and just cut this out. Set the extra fabric aside, we'll need it later for spaghetti, but now you have a bust portion for your top. And you can always add lace to your piece. Mine just already had lace, so I just wanted to keep it. Place this panel on your bust and just find your apex on one side and just mark a dot. And then from that dot you want to go out 1/4 inch and then just connect that line. And then you want to just add 3/4 inch and just connect to that line on each side to make a dart. If that makes sense, you can just see what I'm doing. And fold it back in half, and you just want to mark the dart on the other side. And I realized I was marking on the right side of the fabric. You want to just do this on the wrong side, so just do that. On the Reformation top, it has side darts at the bust, but I just didn't want to distort my lace by doing that, so I just wanted to do princess darts. Fold your dart in half on that center line and then just pin it together. And you're just going to take it to your sewing machine. Down and just use a smaller stitch size. I used about like a 2.2, and you can just back tack in the beginning of the dart, but once you reach the point you want to not back tack because you want to tie your threads off. So take the end threads and then just do like 3 knots, and this is just going to secure it, and then you just want to trim your threads. Don't forget to iron your darts and just iron them away from the center. Now I'm taking the other part of the skirt, and I like the lace trim, so I want that to be the bottom of my top. And I'm just folding that in half. I pin everything in place, and then you want to decide how long you want the bottom panel of your top to be, and I measured about 7.5 inches for my length, and I just connect those marks. Then you want to measure from your side seam over your underbust to your other side seam, and I got 14 inches, so you want to divide that number in half and add a ½ inch to that. I'm marking 7.5 inches across, and just square that off and you have a 7.5 by 7.5 inch square. and then you want to just take your rotary cutter and just cut away. And iron that panel. Don't forget to iron before and after sewing. It's super important. So now you can see you have the top part of the top and the bottom portion, and you just want to make sure that seam is going to fit. And I realized mine was a little bit too big on the top, so I just took off the 1/2 inch from each side on the top part. Next, I just fold the top panel in half and just find the center and mark it with chalk. And I do the same thing to the bottom panel. And now I can just match up both pieces, and I pin right sides together. After pinning down that seam, I take it to my sewing machine and I stitch down a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way across. After I sew that seam, I chose to overlock it on the inside just so it looked nice, but you can always just trim your seam allowance and just do a zigzag stitch on the edge. And now I'm doing a top stitch, so I push my seam allowance towards the hem, and my machine allows me to do decorative stitching because it's a quilting machine as well, and I decided to do this swirly loop and heart stitch just because I thought it'd be a cute detail, but it's not necessary. You can also just do a straight stitch across. My hem's already finished with the lace that it had, but you can always just add lace to your hem to finish your top. And now I'm just going to finish the sides, and I decided to overlock them, but you can go ahead and just do a zigzag stitch. And then I'm just going to take some extra lace I have, and sorry my camera started to just blur here, it wasn't focusing, and I'm just cutting out like 2 strips for each side of lace just to put on there, and just leave some excess so you have to like fold in and finish the corners. I take the scrap pieces and I cut out 1.5 inch strips for my spaghetti straps, and I cut out about like 5 strips so I can just sew them together and to make a long string of spaghetti. I join all of my strips with my overlock machine, and then I sew right sides together and turn it inside out. You can also just do this on your regular sewing machine, and if you need a tutorial, I can just link one. And you need 6 loops for the top, so after you make some spaghetti, you want to cut out 4.5 inch pieces and 2 3-inch pieces and 10mm rings. Take your smaller loops and just sandwich them in between the fabric at the top corner of the neckline and the underbust seam, and then just pin it down and stitch it down. Then I cover the side with the lace. As you can see, you'll get a really nice clean finish edge. And the way you want to do this is you want to take your lace, and mine has holes in it, so it was easy just to stick the loop through it. I fold the lace in half and then just pin it down, and at the edge I just kind of trim it away and fold those ends in so it'll be caught when I sew it down. And when I get to the other loop, I just feed it through the lace again and then just fold the lace over the fabric and just pin the whole thing down. When you reach the hem, you want to just trim it again and then just fold the ends in and pin. Take it to your sewing machine and just stitch along that lace edge. And don't forget to back tack when you start. You want to just follow the edge of the lace, so whatever direction it goes in, just follow the edge. Now it's time for straps, so I measured 5 inches from the center on each side for my straps, and you want to take your 3-inch spaghetti and just loop it through the ring and pin it down, and you want to just make sure you pin it at your strap point with like a 1/4 inch showing above above the neckline, and then you want to just take it to your sewing machine and just do a zigzag stitch at the very top and at the bottom just to secure more of the strap. And now you can just attach your spaghetti to the ring. So you want to fold back like a 1/2 inch seam allowance and then just stitch it down. And my spaghetti was like 100 inches, and then I cut it in half, so 50 inches on each side, and not your ends. I tried the top on and there was some like excess fabric at the side, so I just ended up doing like a 1/2 inch pleat on both sides because I got this like extra. After pleating that and just sewing on top, it looked great. I hope you guys can recreate this Reformation inspired top, and thank you so much for watching.